This is Because You Asked. I'm Barry Nussbaum. We have a very special guest tonight, Israeli ambassador, among other things, Danny Ayalon. So in terms of the solution, if you were running things, and I don't mean just in Jerusalem, but you had some sort of divine ability to make things the way Danny Ayalon wants them to be, what's the solution?
The solution is a one state from the Jordan River to the Mediterranean. There is no room for more than one country. I mean, you would put, if you have two states there, you put them in impossible position, which would create conflict and, I mean, inevitable fights and wars in the future. So the only way to do it is to have the Israeli state here. I wouldn't, of course, touch the population. We are very humane, but the Arabs who live there would vote for their parliament in Amman, and there is no. I mean, it's not a unique experience. They would be residents of the country, of the state of Israel, but they will be citizens of the other state. And I think by that, it would make room for everyone here with the possibility of real truth or reconciliation, which is also based on very, very strong economic, security, culture, joint ventures. I believe that should be the way.
So you have I've never heard this concept before. We've done some other interviews here in Israel where the discussion has revolved around the two issues, which is how do you preserve geography so that Israel is defendable? Your solution handles that. But on a demographic viewpoint, if you keep those populations where they are, then Israel, in terms of its geographic boundary from the river to the sea, would be about 65% or 60% Jewish and 40% Arab Muslim. What you're saying, I think, is the Arabs between more or less the Green Line and the river would not have states' rights within the state of Israel, not voting, not participating in governmental self-representation. They would be voting east.
Right, because they are not Israeli citizens now. Because the status of the land, of Judea-Samaria, has never been determined. They were considered Jordanians until 1967.
Right.
They should be considered Jordanians now.
Even though the king doesn't want them.
They can do a confederation. That could be dealt with. That could be dealt with. I think that the king doesn't want them in his own backyard because he knows 1970, Arafat and the Palestinians tried.
They tried to kill him.
Yeah. But if we allow them, we're not going to transfer anybody. No, it's against our culture. It's against our values. They stay where they are. But they are not stateless because they can be Jordanians, just like they were before 1967.
So under your concept, Danny, they could still participate in public services and healthcare and so on, or they're participating in whatever Jordan does for them?
Okay.
Because I think it would create resentment if they see other Arabs that are Israelis. Right. They have a higher standard of living, they have an economic opportunity, they have access to education, they have a complete dream of upward sustainability and self-improvement that nobody in the Arab world that's Muslim has in any country, unless they're a member of a royal family.
This is correct. So here, it's again, the yardstick is very logical and I think is also very fair. Those Arabs who have Israeli citizenship, of course they cannot be stripped out of them. They will continue to be Israeli citizens. Those who are not, will not. They have no rights to do that. However, since they will be residents of the state of Israel, then they will have all the economic rights and employment and everything else, education. Just think like of expatriates. Let's say in Europe, you have British who study in France or work in France, or Italians who work in Spain or vice versa. They're still considered citizens of their own country, they're residents of their host country, and they're very happy. That should be the same thing here. I believe that once we have a real, true, lasting peace, which is based, again, on security and joint venture, economic, and of course recognition of each other, then what Israel did with where we are today would be replicated in the West Bank. And I believe this cooperation could bring the West Bank to Judea-Samaria and the residents, the people there, to a standard of living which would be just on par with what we have here.
It's a fascinating concept.
It's the simplest one, and keep it simple. I always say, keep it simple, and that's the way to really make things work.
So you have this organization, Truth About Israel. Is this
Yes.
Is this the sales pitch from Truth About Israel, or is that something different?
Well, also, yes, I have not quite dealt with the solutions because we had so many other things to work with to dispel all the lies of the Palestinians about Jerusalem and refugees and security issues and, quote unquote, dispel the apartheid story, which is also very ridiculous. So I founded the Truth About Israel when I left government about 3.5 years ago, simply, Barry, to level the playing fields for Israel in social media. And since then, we're doing very, very short, succinct clips, which have been watched by millions. It's just beautifully being dissipated, disseminated, shared, and likes and all that. And the goal here is very, very specific. I want that from now on, anytime in the future, anybody in the world who clicks, who Googles Israel, Jerusalem, Palestine, will come to our websites and to our information, or at least also, not just to the Arabs. Because, again, there is a political war against us, and unfortunately Israel was not too effective, and I don't want to lament here about the Israeli bureaucracy and lack of funds and many, many other things that were not right and still are not right, but I do believe that grassroots volunteer operation has a value, has a meaning, maybe even more than government, because I'm not paid to do what I'm doing. So I do it because I believe it, and I believe it, and I know it, like many, many others. So it's more authentic, maybe, more credible, the message is, and it's beginning to move the needle. Not enough. It's very, very difficult work, after so many years.
Climbing out of a hole.
Absolutely. But all the millions who share, Jews and Christians and many, many others, once they get the information, they do get it. If they're not brainwashed, they see the evidence, they see the facts. You cannot just walk away out of it and believe in all these bizarre stories of the Palestinians, or UNESCO, as if Hebron is a Palestinian site, or Temple Mount is Palestinian. I mean, all these crazy things. And we'll continue to do that. And the Truth About Israel, if I can plug it in for your viewers, we have a website.
Tell them where to find you.
Very easy. The Truth About Israel, no spaces, .org. .il. Everything is there.
Perfect. Thank you, Danny. It's a real pleasure. Appreciate
Good
it.
to see you.
Thanks for joining us on Because You Asked. I'm Barry Nussbaum. You can go to our website, AmericanTruthProject.org, to get all the information you could possibly want on the subject. And you can always write to me at Barry@AmericanTruthProject.org. I will respond. Sign up on the website. It's free, and we'd love to hear from you.